like some people are joining. So we'll just give it a couple minutes and then we'll kick it off, give everyone a little chance to join in. And if you are just joining in, we're going to have a Q and A at the end of this session. So if you want to go ahead and put any questions you have, we'll try to get to a couple of them at least. So your kids are hiding somewhere in the house?
They are in the bath, hopefully.
We'll see. We'll see.
We'll
It's all
we'll
good.
see.
Everyone loves to see kids, right?
Yes, I will find out when this is over. They've been
Cool.
sick this weekend, so we had to cancel the sitter, so my husband's dealing with them. Right.
Cool. All right. Well, we have some people in here, so let's go ahead and get started. If you all want who are viewing, you are welcome to put your name, nickname in the chat, and let us know where you're from, and we'll give you a little shout out along the way. So, tonight, as part of our Out Cooking It series, we are so happy to invite Kara Mozz with us today. If you're not part of the FD community or not familiar, we all have nicknames. So if you hear me referring to Kara as Mozz and myself as Veggetti, you will know why. Our nicknames are First Descent's longest, oldest traditions. So hopefully, if you have a nickname, you'll put it in the chat. Cool. So you ready to get started?
I think so.
Awesome, awesome. So this is Kara Garrett. Mozz. I met Mozz in 2016 in Santa Cruz, California. She was a participant on a program that I was cooking on, and I remember having some. I mean, there are I remember a lot of participants that I cook for, but Maz really stuck out at me because she kept asking me questions about culinary school and where I went, and she was on the East Coast, and you're still on the East Coast, correct?
I am.
Yes. Cool. So it's dark for you right now, like me,
Yes.
right?
It is night.
Um, and so we had great conversations. And so we invited her to kind of give a little peek into her world and where she's been since 2016. So with that being said, Maz, can you just start out by telling us a little bit about yourself and how you got involved with First Descents?
Yeah. First, thank you so much for doing this. It's really fun to reconnect and see you
Definitely,
again.
definitely.
I am a health supportive chef here in Washington, D.C. I teach cooking classes at a cancer support organization to people at all different stages through their journey with cancer. I've focused mainly on how to incorporate more real food into your diets, and specifically plants into your diet in a very easy, approachable manner. I've been doing that for about 6 years. I found my way to First Descents after my own cancer diagnosis in 2013. So I just had my 10-year cancer anniversary this year, which felt like a big milestone. And after I completed my treatment, I was kind of, looking for a way to reconnect with my former kind of carefree self and also explore this new body and new person that I became after cancer. And there was another young adult survivor here in DC that referred me to First Descents. And I saw that there were surfing trips. I'd always wanted to try surfing, and I'm very uncoordinated. I was always too scared, and this felt like a good way to approach that. And so I signed up to surf in Santa Cruz and met you.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. So back to our nicknames. So again, I'm Veggetti. I'm First Ascent's chef manager. So I want to ask your first question is how'd you get your nickname?
Well, when I was on the trip, I was going through this phase of making my own mozzarella. So at the time, I was kind of in this weird food journey where I felt like I had to make everything, like I had to know how to make everything. So if I couldn't make it at home, I didn't feel like I should eat it. And I really got attached to making mozzarella and I really wanted to be good at it. And I abandoned it shortly after the trip because I decided it's a very expensive hobby and it's a large sunk cost in milk where it's easier and tastier to just buy it. But I'm glad the nickname stuck because it's a reminder that real food is important to me.
That is so and I'm glad you like really defined it because I think some people would be like Mozz or Mozz and you're not Mozz after the apples, it's
Right.
Mozz. So thank you. But and my next question was going to be if you were still making mozzarella. So you're not.
No, my dreams of becoming a cheesemaker crashed and burned.
It's okay. It served its purpose, right? You got your
Yes.
nickname. um and then how did your FD experience influence your decision on becoming a chef?
Well, I would say that it was a central part of becoming a chef. I had, when I was on the trip, I had been connected with an organization here in DCU that I'm still working with called Smith Center. And I'd been attending and volunteering and doing cooking classes and really kind of interested in this intersection of health-based cooking. I felt like going through treatment, there was it, food was kind of the only thing that I could control. Everything else was out of my control and I could control food, but there wasn't a lot of information out there or there was a lot of conflicting information in food studies. They show all different things and everyone has an opinion and I found it really challenging. So on the first Ascents trip, I found myself in the kitchen with you a lot, asking questions because it was fascinating for me to see a group of people introduced to new foods or just experiencing foods that they were familiar with in a different manner. And it was really heartwarming to see the enjoyment and around the food. And I think, I talked to you about where you had gone to culinary school. It felt like kismet because Laura Pohl, who runs the nutrition program here at Smith Center, is also a Natural Gourmet Institute alum. And then when I got home from the trip, I think you emailed me the enrollment, uh, all the enrollment information, and I was enrolled that spring. So I really feel like First Ascents, and specifically you, led me down this path.
Oh, thank you, Maz. And also, Laura Pohl was one of the very first chefs that were when we first started the nutrition program. I think it was 2012 or 2013 that she did a few programs, actually both those years. So, like it all aligned just right for you.
Yeah, it did.
So cool. That's so cool. Um, how was your culinary school experience?
It was interesting. It was amazing. I went to New York and my husband and I were thinking we were going to have children soon. So I was like, okay, I need to do this now or it's never going to happen. So I lived in New York for 6 months and it was pretty incredible. I was a solid 10 years older than everyone in the class and I was the class mom, which I enjoyed quite a bit. And I loved it. I loved the school, and I'm sad, they no longer they no longer exist, or they got, I think, pushed into one of the big culinary institutes.
Yeah, they're at ICE now. They've kind of
Nice,
merged
yeah.
with ICE, and a lot of the same instructors are there now. I just spoke to Chef Elliott a couple months ago, and trying to recruit some of their interns for our programs.
Oh, wonderful. I
Yeah.
love Chef Elliott.
Yes, yes. So great. Cool. I know I just kind of went off the cuff on that one because I was curious and never say never because I went to culinary school with 5 kids at home. So you could it can be done.
That
So
is impressive.
cool. And then how would you describe your cooking style? I know this is a broad question. I know this is probably one of the most common questions that we all chefs usually get. So hopefully we can hone into what you feel your cooking style is.
I think my cooking style I would describe as easy.
Mm,
So I try to do healthy and easy. I really dislike doing dishes. So I do a lot of one pot meals, sheet pan meals, things that are really easy to clean up. Um, I do like making more complicated recipes. So I will, I'll look up recipe. I will make a complicated meal, and then I think about, okay, I really like these flavors. So recently I made this Filipino eggplant dish with fried garlic. It was so delicious and had a lot of steps. It took me, 3 hours to make. And so then I think about, I really like these flavors. How do I incorporate these flavors into something that's realistic to make on a weeknight? And it makes it more approachable for other people as well. I'm kind of all over the place cuisine wise. I love all food. So, we'll do Indian, Mexican,
yeah.
Italian. I don't have one style that I really latch onto.
Whatever you're in the mood for, right?
Exactly.
Totally, totally. And having a busy family right now, you probably have to reel it in a little bit more. You
Yes,
don't have as much time,
absolutely.
I'm sure. And that brings me to like, okay, so let's say you found a complicated recipe, you simplified it, right? How
Mhm.
would you take that simplified recipe and take it to the next level? Like it could just be even like presentation. So it looks fancier. You know what I mean? So say you're having guests over, but you're like, I'm just gonna hone in on the simplified. How would you
Yeah.
do
Garnishes.
that? Mm,
I feel that
yeah,
you're right. It's presentation. You can make something very simple and then some fresh herbs, if it's a salad, pomegranate seeds, they're like beautiful and bright. I think, you eat with your eyes first. So I think that presentation is really important. Even with my own home cooking, I try to remember, like we want to enjoy what we're eating. So I think it's important to have lots of color and brightness and just make it stand out a little bit.
definitely, definitely. And then you're teaching your kids that, which is super special because
Yeah,
they can go into, well, they might have a heavier palate then. So it's like a catch 22, you know?
absolutely.
um, that's cool. So, how has food become your healing source?
Oh boy. I don't know if you have enough time for me to to answer that. Food is healing in so many ways for me. At just a scientific base level, I try to eat a lot of fruits and vegetables so that it's healing in a very scientific way, and I'm getting all my vitamins and minerals from my food. I think equally important is the connection that comes with food
Mm,
and sitting and eating and enjoying, whether I'm by myself and sitting down and mindfully eating, which is a challenge for everyone's busy. It's hard to do. It's hard to take the time. But I try to do that, or sitting with my family. Or what I love more than anything is serving a big meal around a big noisy table and having that like food for the soul.
yes.
So I think that is probably the most healing aspect of food for me, is that connection and how it brings us together. Think, with the holidays coming up, I think it's so important to remember that all of the stress that comes with it is for a reason. We tend to focus on the stressful part and forget that the reason we're coming together is not so much what the food tastes like or what the health content of it is. It's to enjoy that time together and the connection. And that's the real healing that should happen.
That's such a beautiful description. Thank you so much. I love that. Um, and talking about Thanksgiving, what is one of your Thanksgiving signature dishes?
Okay, so I had mixed feelings about answering this because
Okay. All right. All right.
my signature dish is not healthy.
That's okay. We need the balance, right? So that's
So
beautiful too.
we had a big Thanksgiving dinner. I was diagnosed in September. So I started treatment, I started chemo in December. So Thanksgiving, we had this huge Thanksgiving dinner with all my family. It was the first time we had hosted it. And I made a mac and cheese from scratch with, four different kinds of cheese where you have to make the bechamel and stand and stir it for 30 minutes. And I made my
Right.
big brother stand and stir for 30 minutes. And you have to serve it right out of the pot at the time of dinner or it hardens and is not as good.
Right.
And that has become the requested Thanksgiving signature item that everyone loves because no one wants to take the time to make it, like actually make it from scratch.
Right.
Um, and it's just a fat carb overload that is delicious and
Sounds delicious.
it's balanced out with all the other vegetables on the table.
Absolutely. And if you're only making it like once a year,
Yes.
you know?
Yeah.
So what are let's just pick two easy adjustments that you can recommend to anyone, to our viewers, to improve the healthiness of their meal.
So I think the easiest thing to do is just increase your fruits and vegetables. So, everyone
Mhm.
kind of has their standard a dish or two that they're always making, a stir fry or a pasta or whatever it is. Um, Adding an extra vegetable to get some more variety. If you make a stir fry and you're always putting broccoli and carrots in it, add celery and mushrooms, just add something else in there. I feel like our stomachs are only so big. So if you focus on filling it with mostly plant stuff, mostly healthy, what you would call healthy items, then you don't have to worry so much about the other little bit that you're getting. I think the more variety you can get into your meals and your diet, the better. So someone at some point in my journey has told me that you should try to eat 26 different fruits and vegetables a week. And that really stuck with me, not as something that I'm going to sit and make a list of all the fruits and vegetables, but that idea that we really should be getting this big variety of all the colors, all the different textures into our diets. And I try to think about that when I do my shopping every week. Is like, am I buying broccoli every single, 3 times a week, or like, is there something else I can get into my diet? So I think that's an easy thing to do. I think the other thing is just trying to eliminate some of the processed foods. And I know that we can really, the word processed has kind of become overused and you can overthink what that means easily. So I try to think about it, as I said, if it's something that I can't make at home, it's probably not something that's great for my body. And it's not whether I have the time. It's like if I had all the equipment and all the time and all the money, could I make it? So I think like for breakfast, I I could make my own granola if I wanted to. I probably couldn't make Cheerios on my own. So I choose to eat the granola instead of the Cheerios. Not to say that cereal's bad for you, you know, if that's what you enjoy, then it's fine. But maybe throw some banana slices in it so you're getting some extra nutrients there. So it kind of
That
goes back to adding some fruits and vegetables in wherever you can.
that is such great. It just I mean, that was just simple, right? Everyone can relate to that.
Yeah.
As you're talking, I'm thinking 26. Okay, so now every time I go to get, I'm like, have I had this already this week? You know?
I'm
Yeah,
telling you, it stuck with me. It's like over all these years, it's something that sticks out, and it's easier than you think to get there.
that's so great. I can't wait to go to the farmers market on Saturday. See what I can find. How many different ones instead of going insane, vendors.
Yeah.
And then what's one pro tip that you'd like to give our viewers about cooking healthy?
Oh, keep it simple.
Mm.
I think just keeping it simple. I think part of the problem is we're so inundated with information and we see all of this stuff on Instagram and TikTok about how to do all of these things that you forget that cooking really can be very simple and easy. Um, so I think, there's no reason to try to overhaul your entire diet or, do all of these really complicated things. I think, you know, I just think keeping it simple, making little incremental changes and feeling good about what you're eating. So that's very important to me is that you should never feel stress over what you're eating.
Yeah,
And if you're feeling stress in any way, then that's when you know a change needs to happen. If you want to eat a burger, you're craving a burger, great, eat it. Don't think about it again. Just don't make it a habit. So it's like
right.
trying to fix those bad habits, but not thinking that you have to eliminate them completely.
Yeah. One of the advice I always like to give is stop looking at Pinterest. Stop. It's not going to look like that.
Yeah,
You will
exactly.
just frustrate yourself.
Yes.
Do what you do best. Um, and then, how has first ascents continued to impact your life?
Oh, the first ascents, the whole outliving it mantra just really resonates with me. And my whole family actually, like my whole family loves first ascents and supports first ascents because the idea of like being outside and being in the world has always been important, to me growing up. And I think um it's just really stuck with me that it's important to live in the moment and make choices and do what you can in the moment and then just try to live with adventure and enjoy your life wherever you are at that moment, at that day, the month, and try not to get so wrapped up in your head about what happened before or what might happen later and just really kind of living right then.
So, have you gone surfing since 2016?
I have not. We have talked about it a lot. I mean, so I
Okay.
went to culinary school in 2017. I had my first daughter in 2018 and my second in 2020. So
Okay.
I
That's
have not
fair.
had a chance.
That's fair.
We were in the Outer Banks just this past summer and we were talking about going surfing and the waves were it was too scary.
Right.
The
Right.
waves were too high. But maybe next time. We just happened to be there when it was all red flags and you couldn't get in the water.
Well, maybe you should join us as one of our chefs and come on a program.
Yes, I absolutely want to do that. I have now the girls are old enough, I can actually leave them for a week and
And
do
Outer Banks isn't too far from you.
that.
That'd be awesome. So, Maz, where do you hope to take things at this point in your chef career? I know you have a family now, so things probably have shifted, but where do you see it taking you?
Yeah, so it's interesting because I have a family now. So I have a 3 and a 5-year-old, and most of my time now is focused around kid-friendly cooking. I really didn't understand how much of my time would be occupied by feeding them, but it's unbelievable. Um,
Constant.
so I even had a phone call today. I'm thinking about how to incorporate cooking with kids into the cancer community. So I'm thinking about starting a program with moms that have cancer and doing some fun activities, cooking with their children. So, making cupcakes, doing something like that. Um, so I'm dipping my toe. I'm like, the wheels are starting to turn for how do I bring these two things that are important to me? How do I bring them together and take that knowledge to other people that I could help?
I love that. Finding your niche and where you're at. I love that.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, let's get some questions. See what the viewers want to hear from you.
All right.
So, hey, Focus. Hey, Uncle Buck. Hey, Mayor. Look at everyone on here. Okay. Well, let's see that first question. Please share any kid-friendly suggestions. My 5-year-old doesn't eat anything. And also, please consider making the program you're discussing also open to those of us on the MS side. Nice, nice.
Love it. Um, if 5-year-olds are hard, I have a 5-year-old. It is, that's a loaded question. I do a lot of muffins. I actually cook lentils and use the cooked lentils as part of the wet ingredients for my muffins so that there's protein in them. And I will do zucchini. My kids aren't weird about vegetables, so I can have shaved zucchini and carrots. One of their friends won't touch them unless I peel the zucchini so there's no green that they can see. And then raisins and chocolate chips. Anything that has chocolate chips in it, they will eat. So I don't typically try to hide vegetables from my kids, but I do find having a really nutrient dense bite of something is helpful in knowing that they're getting a lot of nutrients that they need. When they're refusing to eat anything except buttered noodles, it's hard. It's hard not to want to hide something somewhere.
Right. So true.
Um, I think otherwise it's just exposure with kids.
Mm,
It's like the more they're especially at 5, they're just fighting everything. I think as you expose them to new things and making it normal that it's going to be on the plate, it doesn't necessarily matter that you're going to probably throw it in your compost bin. It's that eventually they're going to come back around to something that is not going to be completely foreign to them.
mm. Yeah. Again, it's kind of like making it simple again. Even
Yeah,
for, just like for us, making it simple for them.
definitely.
Cool.
I do a
Thank
lot
you.
of tofu for my kids like to eat tofu just raw off of just cut off of the block and they just
Really?
that's a really fun one because I have little cutouts that, I can give them and they'll cut little shapes out of it and they eat it. I think with kids, like we also make sushi a lot, which is, we just have I have silicone sushi mats so they can go in the dishwasher. I put the rice on and have all the vegetables out. It's messy. It's a lot to clean up, but they eat a lot of it in the process of doing it.
Right.
Um, I think anytime you have the space and the time to offer something that they can make a mess with, they're more likely to eat it.
Yeah, that's really cool. Great idea. Those are great ideas. Maz, here is a question we got on the Q&A. Um, where do you find your culinary inspirations?
Ooh. All over the place. I love cookbooks. I absolutely love cookbooks. If I had a like unlimited budget to buy cookbooks, I like browsing them, not necessarily even trying the recipes out of them. The ones that have beautiful pictures and very complicated recipes that I'm never going to make. I love looking at them. I find a lot of inspiration
When
from
was
them.
your last what was the last cookbook you purchased?
So the last cookbook I purchased was called Cool Beans.
Cool beans. Okay.
And it is I've been trying to incorporate more beans into my kids actually like beans, so I'm trying to incorporate them into more things, but I have kind of a limited repertoire of bean recipes. So I got this beautiful cookbook called Cool Beans, and it's got lots of different dips and patties and all of these different things and all of these different beans beautiful beans that I had never heard of, and I have no idea where I could buy. But
That's so cool.
it's a fun one.
That's so cool.
And then of course Instagram, I'm the same as everyone. I fall down rabbit holes watching people do recipes that they're 20-second reels. So you're like, oh, that looks easy. And
Exactly.
you're looking at it and you're like, wait, this is not going to be that easy.
Do you have a favorite, website? Like, do you have a go-to website
So
that
I
you
like
like to
Love
follow?
and Lemons a lot. Love and
Oh,
Lemons.
I love that one. That's a good one.
It's a really good one.
Yeah.
I they have she has beautiful food and pretty easy, simple recipes that are healthy. I for baking, so I find myself on the internet more for baking than
Okay.
other things, and I like the Minimalist Baker a lot.
That's
Um,
my go-to. That's my go-to
yeah, her
as well.
recipes are great. Baking, you have to. I've had some really bad recipes off of the internet, and I know how to follow a recipe.
Right.
So hers are always great. They're
So
healthy.
simple.
They're
Simple.
simple.
I
Yeah,
use her for a lot of, on when I'm on programs for desserts because I'm not typically a baker.
yeah.
And so for her, they're very simple, not really baking. There's not a lot of baking, in her recipes. So there, yeah, that one's definitely. The other one I like is Cookie and Kate.
Oh yeah, I like that one too.
Cookie and Kate because she also gives you like gluten-free version. She gives you all different versions of
Yeah.
that recipe, which is really cool. Let's step over to the chat. We'll take two more. We'll take one from the chat, one from Q&A before we close. So, any thoughts on ways to enhance your appetite during treatments, such as foods that seem to smell or taste better or more easily to digest? That's a great question.
That is a good question, and that's different for different chemo treatments. Um,
Good point.
typically, most treatments, anything with ginger tends to help. I mean, it helps settle the digestion. So having a ginger tea, and fresh ginger, not the tea bags that you buy, which are fine in a pinch, but if you steep some fresh ginger and hot water with a little bit of honey, a lot of people will find that that increases their appetite a little bit. I think eating small amounts frequently that helps boost your appetite, rather than thinking that you need to eat 3 meals a day. Think of it more that you're going to be grazing throughout the day. Then you're just changing your food habit a little bit until you get your full appetite back. Um, making it's called a granita helps a lot of people, and you can do that just buying store-bought juice. I like there's one called Morning Blend that has carrot juice, and I can't remember now exactly, but it's carrots, apples, and a couple of other blends, and you can just pour that in a thin layer in a pan and freeze it, and then you scrape it off. After it's frozen, you kind of scrape it and make like a little fruit juice slushy, and you're getting some nutrients, and it's tough when you're in the middle of treatment and nothing tastes good, and you have to kind of play around with different flavors and see what's working with your palate.
Yeah, that's great. Those are great, great recommendations too. We'll go ahead and take one more from the Q&A. Let's see what we have here. Favorite FD recipe? Do you remember? Do you have one?
So my my favorite, this is probably, I doubt if this is in the FD cookbook, but when we were there, you made burgers.
Uh-huh.
You made burgers on the charcoal grill. And I
Yes.
was like so in my head about like we can't have things like burgers,
Mm,
because we're like going through, I was so in my head about like not being able to do that, right? I had like written off that part of my life. It's
right,
like
right.
I'm never eating burgers again. And I was like, I was so shocked that that's what was on the menu. And I just remember talking to you, and you were like, oh, well, yeah, we went to this nice vendor where they had, like it's a farm that's right down the street. We're buying, it's grass fed meat.
Yep.
It's like, just this reminder that, like, yeah, you're not eating a burger for every meal of every day. Like, yeah,
Right.
it's fun to sit around a campfire and have a burger. And
Have
it
a
was
burger night,
amazing.
right?
Yeah.
I'm so glad you enjoyed that, and that's such a great memory, and it's just a great testament to what we do out there, on programs. I think a lot of people, and maybe you did too, when you first went into a program, you're like, and for you, you were probably like, "Oh, good, it's gonna be all plant-based, and it's all gonna be, granola," and then you're like, "Wait a minute, there's butter here?" You know?
Exactly.
Um, and as you probably in your, culinary career, and as you've grown, you've seen the benefits of butter, grass-fed butter, good quality meats, and how our bodies thrive with it as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah, yeah, that's great. I'm so glad you did that. Um, Thank you so much. A couple things I want to mention is we talked a little bit about the FD cookbook. We are on our fourth edition. If anybody's interested, it's on the website site firstdescents.org. We also have an Out Cooking It series on YouTube where you can go there and you could search Out Cooking It series, and several of our chefs have um, cooking videos there. So those are just some to move past our interview if you want to learn more and get more tips and tricks from what our chefs do out on programs. Well, Maz, thank you so much. I know this was a long time coming. We really wanted to be able to get together and chat about your culinary journey, and it's so great to hear what you've done. FD, wishes you continued success on this journey. Keep us posted. We never know what we can all do together. And yeah, thank you so much. I hope everybody sounds that on your side. Everybody stayed quiet and in their rightful places, right? All the kids are gone.
So
Uh,
far, so
yes,
far.
yes. But thank you again, and thank you everyone who tuned in to watch this. And we'll see what comes up next.
Yes. Thank you so much, Veggetti. It was wonderful to see you again.
So great seeing you. All right, everyone, have a great Monday night.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.